Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
We'll have insight on resource management from an award-winning family cattle operation in South Dakota. Plus, we'll head to Washington, D.C. to see how 4-H members are learning about leadership.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome. I'm Kevin Oxner. If you're looking for the best in cattle industry information and education, you're in the right place right now with NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Leading our news this week, a 5-year process is nearing the finish line in the development of the 2015 Dietary Guidelines for Americans. With oversight from the USDA and the Department of Health and Human Services, an advisory committee has been working to update the dietary guidelines. These guidelines play a major role in how beef is viewed in the diet, and we have more on this issue from NCBA staff and producers.
The dietary guidelines, they are the foundation of all nutrition policy. So for producers who were concerned about the school lunch proposal several years ago, about the maximums put on protein, this was the foundation. The 2010 dietary guidelines were the foundation of that.
Well, I'll tell you, it's really important because dietary guidelines, which are produced by the USDA, set the gold standard for diets across the country that are handed out by physicians and dietitians.
Moving forward, we need to find ways to make sure that dietary guidelines is balanced, it's science-based, it's well-rounded, and it's going to be the future, at least for 5 years, of all nutrition feeding programs, either for the military, for seniors, for schools, etc. So we've dedicated a lot of time in Washington on that topic.
Well, I tell you, as a physician, I think it's really important to me that beef be recognized for the great food it is, with the important things in beef like protein, iron and zinc. But as a cattle producer, it's important that they get these dietary guidelines correct because it's a livelihood of our business.
NCBA will continue to monitor the progress and outcome of the 2015 dietary guidelines, ensuring that the facts about beef's role in a healthy diet are accurately represented. In other news, in July of this year, new independent research was released demonstrating that the beef checkoff has delivered a return of $11.20 for every dollar invested from 2006 to 2013. As effective and efficient as it's been, the beef checkoff program as it currently exists is now at risk. Joining me now in the studio is Craig Uden, a Nebraska cattle feeder and cow-calf operator who served in a number of leadership posts across the industry. Craig, thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well, as we get started talking about this very, very important topic, give folks a little background about you and the leadership roles you've fulfilled.
Well, it all started when I was a beef council member for Nebraska Beef Council. And as I moved through that process, I got interested in the operating committee, so I went through the nomination process and got on the operating committee, which spends the checkoff dollar through the federation side. And over the time being, then I was moved along and I became the chairman of the federation, and now after those times are over, I'm chairman of the policy committee for NCBA.
Very good. Well, let's talk about the checkoff. I know that there's been a working group that has been working on an enhancement of the checkoff for some time. Give us a little background on this group and tell us kind of where they stand today.
Well, 3 years ago, the secretary put together a group of grassroots organizations that are involved in the checkoff. And in order to get enhancement or to get the extra dollar that people were looking for, these groups came together to try to work their differences out and move the industry forward. And we did have a lot of success in some certain areas. We do have a new committee structure between the Federation and the CBB, and consequently we also expanded authority to contracting groups that were not in place when the 85 Act was put in place. So more contractors and more efficient and more productive committee structure is what we've done. As we move forward and continue to work on this, after 3 years it was looked upon, should we continue forward? And the NCBA, we voted to continue forward with this work because it's grassroots, and that's where That's where the checkoff started, and that's where we think it continues. But one group, National Farmers Union, decided to pull out. And thus we're looking at where we're at today.
Now, I understand from a press release that I've read that Secretary Vilsack has suggested that he was going to bring forth a new order under the 1996 Generic Act. Tell us what NCBA's stance is on that position.
Well, we're against that concept because government versus grassroots, we're for the grassroots concept, which means strengthening our state beef councils and what role that they play in this. Accountability to the producers, minimizing government bureaucracy and things of that sort. We think it's a very efficient and effective way to build beef demand without increasing a lot of extra bureaucracies.
Now, I understand that NCBA is not alone in that position. In fact, a number of other stakeholders, including the Federation of State Beef Councils, has some concern about bringing forth an enhancement under the 1996 Act as opposed to keeping it with the original 85 Act. Can you give us some perspective there?
Sure I can, Kevin. The 85 Act, really and truthfully, the Federation, which is the state beef councils, was put together in 1963, long before the 85. And when we did get the vote to enact the beef checkoff in 85, the reason we got it was the efforts that it was going to be controlled by producers. And consequently, the state beef councils play a huge role in that. They collect the dollar, they get to spend 50 cents of the dollar, and they get to send people on through the Federation in order to look at the national programs and how that total dollar is spent for beef enhancement. And they don't know what role they'd play under a government-instituted checkoff because they're really not identified there. And also they wonder if there'd be more administration costs and who's going to serve on these boards as well as the same position we have. Who would serve on these boards?
Clearly, this is a critical issue for the beef industry, and we're going to talk more about it. In fact, we'll be right back with Craig Uden just after this. Stay with us.
We stand for what we believe in. We believe in you. It's more than a job. It's your way of life. Who you are, where you live, and what you do. The way you treat your cattle, your family, your employees, and your neighbors. The water you drink, the air you breathe, and the ground you walk on. What you do every day gives families something to gather around every night. It's about doing what's right for your cattle, your land, your community, and your business. It's your livelihood, and it means as much to us as it does to you. We all believe in responsible beef. Let's stand together at responsiblebeef.com.
To truck guys, the truck is everything. And when you put them in charge of making an unbeatable truck, good things happen. This is the Ram 1500, the 2014 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. And first ever back-to-back winner. Guts, glory, Ram.
Whether you're feeding cattle, milking cows, or baling hay, the work on your farm is never done, which is why you need equipment that works as hard as you do. Get the efficiency and versatility you need with Case IH. From Farmall compact and utility tractors to balers and mowers, all Case IH equipment is designed with one thing in mind: getting the job done. To learn more, visit caseih.com/livestock.
Welcome back. We're talking about the beef checkoff, and I'm joined by NCBA Policy Division Chair Craig Uden. Thanks again for being with us. Now, before the break, Craig, we were talking about the Secretary of Agriculture's idea to provide a checkoff enhancement under the 1996 Generic Act, as opposed to simply changing the 1985 Beef Act in order. For viewers who may not be very familiar with the differences and nuances, maybe highlight some of the key differences between those two.
I'd be happy to, Kevin. The one thing that really sticks out is more bureaucracy in the 96. It's more top-down. Whereas the 85 has restrictions on how much government is involved. Administration costs could be as high as 15%. In the 96, we have a 5% cap. There's really no place in the 96 for state beef councils, which in 85, that's what it's all about, is the grassroots and the producers in their states bringing forth ideas into the checkoff system, bringing their issues and their dollars to the national, having programs developed, and then taking those programs back out into the country. Also in the 96 versus the 85, importers pay in 85, and in 96 they do not, or possibly would not. We also have an issue with how many is on the Cattlemen's Beef Board. Today it's limited. 96 it may be not, and also producers today are involved in the 85 Act, where non-producers could be put on this board in the 96 Generic Act.
Wow.
So there's quite a bit of differences, and it leads more to a top-down, government-driven versus grassroots involvement like the 85 Act.
You've mentioned producer involvement several times, and I guess I'd ask you, why do you think that is so important, and what risk do we run if there is less producer involvement and more governmental oversight?
Well, mainly the producers understand the checkoff with their state beef councils. As an example, when I was on the State Beef Council in Nebraska, we have a lot of cattle, but not a lot of people. So we garner a lot of dollars, but we necessarily don't need those dollars in our state. So we'd take that extra 50 cents that we had control of, and we'd partner on maybe through the Federation, maybe with another state. And we had, at the end of the day, we knew that the producers were deciding where that dollar was going and how best to use it. And it was all in coordination with the plan of work that was being laid out by the checkoff program.
So what you're really talking about here is really more governmental control over producer dollars. Is that right?
True. It is about grassroots versus government. And that grassroots is within the states, and it creates a strong state-national partnership that communicates up the chain and back down to the producer. And it's worked very well for a number of years. We have, like you said, $11 to 1 return, and if you equate that over the 10-year study, that's $4 billion we've added back to the industry. I think it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, it sounds like it's working pretty well, and producers from the last study indicate that they're pretty pleased with it. Over
8 out of 10 producers are very satisfied with how their dollars being spent.
Yeah, makes the discussion even more interesting. So where do we go from here? What are the next steps from NCBA's standpoint about how we approach this checkoff enhancement?
We're going to stay engaged in the beef checkoff working enhancement group, because we believe that producers are the ones that need to decide how this is going to be forwarded along. So that's kind of where we're at today. We're going to keep meeting with these other producer groups, absent with National Farmers Union, and we're going to try to move this thing forward so we can enhance or raise the checkoff for our producers out there.
Very good. I think it's a much needed effort. Thanks for your observations and for your highlights of where the process stands today, Craig.
Thank you, Kevin.
To follow NCBA's efforts on this important topic, just log on to beefusa.org. Still ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
For us, the grass is the crop we're producing. The cattle are just a machine to harvest it. Like a farmer harvests corn, we harvest grass.
We'll visit the Rock Hills Ranch in South Dakota to see how they care for their land and their cattle. And later, we'll hear about some of the tools you can use for genetic selection of the best performing cattle. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You're watching NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman on RFD TV.
I think a rancher has to be a steward of the land. There's nobody else that can take care of land better than a rancher can, because he has to make his living off of it. When we switched over to the Purina products, it was a step in the right direction, and it's really been profitable for us. It just makes that much of a difference.
The difference we see in the cattle is the consistency of their nutrition. They don't go up and down drastically in weight. Every head on this ranch is fed the Purina Superlix 30. If we keep them on that feed, they stay in optimum condition year-round.
The cattle hold their condition a lot better all throughout the whole year. The products they're producing are very much in line with what the rancher needs to be using to be profitable in the future. That's the best thing ever happened to us.
It does make a difference that we can see, day in and day out.
This isn't a job, it's a calling. Your hard work helps feed the world. Being linked to those who care for the land is our calling. For more than 175 years, John Deere has been a proud partner of the cattle business. That's why we bring you special NCBA member discounts, so you can get the right equipment, strong, rugged, versatile, and ready to work hard. Talk to your John Deere dealer to learn more about your NCBA member discounts. John Deere, committed to the land, committed to your success.
Welcome back. The selection of proven genetics is perhaps the single best way for cattlemen to impact the future success of their herd. And we're in a time when better, more comprehensive genetic tools are available for cattlemen to put to work. We learn more about the variety of genetic technologies available as Cattleman to Cattleman Brad Bulla reports.
It's been proven year after year, the most successful cattle herds are built based on sound genetic selection. And now, thanks to GeneMax Advantage, a new technology from Zoetis, cattlemen can more easily select commercial females for specific genetic traits with greater confidence.
Today, here in the U.S., we're at a 70-year low as it relates to cow and replacement heifer numbers. And these cows and replacements are going to be more valuable than ever before in the history of our business. And so we're really here to talk about a game plan, not only for bull buying, but also for selecting, mating, and marketing heifers. And that product's called GeneMax Advantage. GeneMax Advantage was created from a collaboration with Angus Genetics Inc., Certified Angus Beef, and Zoetis. The GeneMax Advantage is intended for use in 75% and higher Black Angus females. It contains three different categories of features. The first feature are economic index scores that rank animals for net profit from the cow phase of production, the feeder phase of production, and total advantage. Another category of the features is the smart outlier reporting, where we identify animals that might represent genetic merit for high cow cost, tenderness, and also docility. We also rank animals for marbling. The third category of features is the assignment of sires to the tested heifers from an HD50K tested bull battery.
At Spur Ranch in northeastern Oklahoma, Clay Hartley's family has been raising cattle since the 1930s. From their rich history and experience in both the commercial and seed stock cattle business, the team at Spur Ranch knows the value of genetic selection. They strive to offer proven genetic values to all of their customers.
We're currently operating about 1,000 registered Angus cattle and 1,000 commercial Angus cattle, and producing seed stock primarily off of both herds. We're using a GeneMax Advantage to let us select what we want for our replacement heifers because we have such a phenotypically uniform set of heifers. It helps us identify what we consider to be the best animals for the traits we're looking for.
Traditionally, cow-calf producers have selected their replacements solely on visual appraisal. Until now, we've never really had a way to select females based on differences in profit potential from their lifetime of production. And with GeneMax Advantage, we have the chance to do that both during the cow phase, the feeder phase, and the total supply chain phases of production.
You know, it used to be, growing up, you'd look at these cattle and you'd be sorting down the alleyway and you'd just be sorting by eye. You know, she's got the conformation, she's got the look, you don't know anything else about it, you know. But now, where we're able to look at these test scores, you can have two standing side by side that look phenotypically the same, and one can be low and one can be high in whatever trait you're looking at. And so in the end result, it's going to help us, particularly in the sire selection of these cattle.
The scores from the genetic testing assign a lifetime net profit value on individual animals. Dr. Anderson says producers can use this tool to select animals that will return more dollars throughout their lifetime.
To illustrate results from GeneMax Advantage, contrast these two heifers, one who is particularly high in the cow advantage and the total advantage score versus another one that's lower for those values. The top heifer also excels as being a top 25% marbling heifer. The difference in cow advantage score between these two animals is over $50, and that's $50 per calf. So over 5 calves, the difference in net return to the cow-calf producer would be over $250 greater for the top heifer.
Identifying the most productive animals in the herd today lets producers make genetic decisions that will put more money in their pockets in the future.
With GeneMax Advantage, we're actually ranking animals based on underlying genetic merit for net profit. So we're really giving producers insight as to which animals are going to be the best combination of sensible cost, but also high quantity and value of output.
Hopefully our customers can use the GeneMax Advantage information and testing to have a higher comfort level that the animal they're buying from Spur Ranch will produce a type of calves that will be economically important to their operation.
Both Dr. Anderson and the team at Spur Ranch encourage other cattlemen to explore using GeneMax Advantage in their herds to develop a genetic game plan.
Give it a shot and talk to some guys that've done it, talk to a Zoetis rep, you know, and do a little study on it. Once you step out there and do it, you're going to be surprised where you're at once you get those test results back.
I would advise them to feel free to contact their AGI, Zoetis, or CAB representative to learn more about the product. To get started, we can either use blood spots on blood cards, tissue, or hair samples, and those are submitted to Angus Genetics, Inc.
Reporting from Oklahoma, I'm Brad Bullafor, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. For more information or to order testing kits, visit the website genemaxadvantage.com, or you can go to angus.org/AGI. Still ahead, we'll hear from our friend Baxter Black. And up next, we'll take you to an award-winning cattle operation in South Dakota. We'll be back with more Cattleman to Cattleman right after this.
Sheila Carges. This is my husband Brock. We have 2 girls, Karina and Jessica. Both girls can pull cattle, doctor, process anything that we need them to do.
Using products that help keep the calves healthy, it helps my parents to be less stressful, it helps them to be at home more, and it helps pay more bills when you don't have to worry about sick cattle.
I'd say 99% of our cattle are high risk.
We've never seen a response due to metaphylaxis like we have with the Draxxin. I think Draxxin has a major role in any operation as far as your viability and your long-term outlook.
And how do you quantify having a peace of mind to take a vacation for a week or leave work early to go watch a basketball game? You can't quantify that.
Important safety information for Draxxin. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Do not use in dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Effects on reproductive performance, pregnancy, and lactation have not been determined.
New Holland is the undisputed leader in hay tools. We give farmers a wide range of innovative equipment that increases efficiency and productivity all year round. Because to us, smart means providing a smooth, clean cut with faster dry down, plug-free conditioning, and superior bale density. And smart means leaving less hay on the field to feed more livestock in less time. That's New Holland Smart. Visit your local New Holland dealer today.
Their best performance begins with Lifeline. A revolutionary performance product with a unique active ingredient. So they feel their best, breathe with ease, and move effortlessly. Bring out the greatness inside them. Learn more about Lifeline's unique bioactive proteins at watchthemthrive.com.
There's no doubt growing up on a farm or ranch tends to result in a special kind of training, a commitment to hard work, and an understanding of how to care for the land. Stewardship is a shared responsibility for many ranching families, and those lessons are passed on from one generation to the next. This week, we conclude our series highlighting the 2014 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Our final stop is Rock Hills Ranch in South Dakota.
In north-central South Dakota, Rock Hills Ranch is a commercial Angus operation that was started by Lyle and Garnet Perman in 1977 after they graduated from college.
I'm the fourth generation of our family to ranch in this immediate area. 4 sets of great-grandparents homesteaded within 30 minutes of where we are today.
These days, it's Lyle's son who makes the day-to-day decisions on the ranch. Lyle and Garnet lease the entire operation to Luke and his wife Naomi. This unique arrangement allows Luke to gain valuable management experience while still having the benefit of Lyle's advice.
One of the things we did not want for Luke was for him to be 50 years old and Dad's still making the decisions, and suddenly Dad's gone and he's never made a hard choice in his life. And so we made the choice to lease the land to him and allow him to make the decisions with plenty of input from Dad.
The one nice thing is Dad has been here for 35 years, so he knows the land and knows you know what to expect from it at different times. So his experience is really valuable.
You know, it was my goal to bring him into the business, and there was a time about 10 years ago where that was in question. He was, his National Guard unit was activated, and he spent time in Iraq and got injured. My goal was to teach him and to turn it over to him. And I can tell you right now that I can leave for a day, a week, a month, or a year, and I know Luke can run the operation and not have a problem.
Rock Hills Ranch is only 15 miles from the Missouri River, so water management is a priority. The ranch annually receives around 17 inches of rain, and keeping that moisture on the property is a primary goal. The Permans realized that improving their grass would also improve their water holding capacity, so they developed a rotational grazing system that would increase how much water soaks into the soil.
Ground cover helps us to hold the water and allow it to infiltrate on our property. We want to leave a lot of ground cover. I want every place that I walk on our ranch, I want to be able to look down and see ground cover. If I can't see ground cover, that's a problem. For us, the grass is the crop we're producing. The cattle are just a machine to harvest it. Like a farmer harvests corn, we harvest grass.
Primary driver of profit is how many cows can I have out here? And that all goes back to how I'm managing the grass. Because of cross fencing and maybe some different management practices, we've been able to increase our stocking rates on some of the ground.
The Permans understand a healthy wildlife population also reflects a healthy ecosystem, so they take time to consider how their conservation efforts will impact the native species.
There's a lot of nesting, ground nesting birds that we found are critical to healthy habitat. So a lot of times we'll use those key species as indicators of range health. We get joy out of seeing that kind of diversity. plant diversity, animal diversity, bird diversity. What role do cattle play in that? Well, without cattle, you won't have any of that.
The entire Perman family is passionate about sharing their stewardship story. Garnet writes an online blog and a column for the local newspaper. And Rock Hills Ranch hosts several tours a year, which allow the public to see their conservation efforts firsthand.
Lyle and Garnet's ranch is an open door. There's people coming and going all the time, and you never see them light up more than when they can share the land and the animals with people. And you don't hear them complaining when somebody wants to come out and see the ranch.
Hospitality is something that is important to both of us. We just feel like it's a good way to connect with people. One of the ways we give back is by letting people come experience what we have here, because God's been really good to us, and it's important to share that.
The future for Rock Hills Ranch looks bright, and the sustainable practices the Permans are using not only make the land healthier and more efficient, but strengthen it for generations to come.
Not everything we do is going to make us the most money right now, but in the long run, it's what's best for the cows and the land and future generations to be able to stay here.
Lyle always says, in the end, nature always wins, and so you kind of have to learn to work with it no matter what anyway. Hopefully there'll be some new things that come along that will help them establish, even a better resource than what we have.
I don't think that we've got everything figured out. There's still a lot of things we have yet to learn, and there's a lot of things that I've seen other people do that I've thought, I wonder if we could do that, maybe we can.
Are there things that we can improve on? Absolutely. We're always learning. It's just a never-ending process. Our goal is not to sustain what we've got. Our goal is to regenerate what there was at one time on this ranch. So we're not content with what we've got. We're always looking for ways to improve it and to restore what at one time was here.
Don't forget, if you'd like to learn more about the Environmental Stewardship Award, including how to apply or nominate a friend or neighbor, just visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. One national winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award will be selected and announced at the 2015 Cattle Industry Convention in San Antonio, Texas. That convention is coming up next February, and NCBA President Bob McCann says it's shaping up to be an outstanding gathering.
We've got a pretty high bar to beat with our last convention in Nashville, but I think we can top that. We've lots of cattle producers in Texas, so we're going to make a big push. And San Antonio is always a great place to be in the winter, and the Riverwalk and everything. It's a lot of fun. We've got some great entertainment lined up, and it'll be a good time to come and visit with your fellow cattlemen and get some work done.
Why not join Bob McCann and me in sizzling hot San Antonio? The Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show is set for February 4th through the 7th. For details, visit the website beefusa.org. Still ahead, we'll visit with the cowboy poet Baxter Black. And next, we'll show you how 4-H members are learning about leadership. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi there, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory, and welcome to our farm outside Nashville, Tennessee. When we go to work, whether it's on tour or here at home, we wear the West.
That's right, where it's that perfect snap shirt or that perfect pair of boots. When you wear Roper, you wear the West.
Learn more about us, Joey and Rory, and about Roper Western Wear at eroper.com.
Telling the truth and being real and feeding my family a home-cooked meal. That's important to me. That's important to me. And planting the garden and watching it grow.
Hello, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Each week, we travel the country to bring you the latest cattle industry news and information. Check us out at cattlemantocattleman.org or on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm an NCBA member because NCBA, they look at the facts, they look at the history, and they look what's good for the industry.
It's important to be NCBA members just because of what NCBA does. They keep us informed about a lot of things that are going on nationwide.
The reason we're an NCBA member is we think that it's the best voice that the cattle people have.
Join NCBA today. Head to beefusa.org or call 866-USA-BEEF.
Welcome back. One key to the future of the agricultural industry is the development of young people, training them and giving them experiences that will eventually allow them to take the reins. The simple fact is the young people of our country will lead us tomorrow. Farm Credit recognizes the need to grow leaders and advocates for agriculture, and we learn more about their commitment to leadership from Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter.
Every summer, the National 4-H Center in Washington, D.C. hosts thousands of 4-H members from across the country for Citizenship Washington Focus, a week-long leadership program. Youth attendees have an action-packed week full of leadership development, touring the city, and even visiting with members of Congress about the 4-H program.
Citizenship Washington Focus is a premier program with National 4-H Council. The program started about 55 years ago, focused on the citizenship aspects of youth leadership, so civic engagement, civic responsibility, civic action, and it was started to really give students an opportunity to engage in activities with their government and their local communities. This program really helps youth all across the U.S. focus on issues that are relevant to the agriculture community. It gives our students an opportunity to really research, to really practice, and to really engage at a deep level, and then taking what they learned back to their local communities to put it into action.
During their week in D.C., 4-Hers are led by program assistants. These bright college students are selected for their own leadership skills and spend their summer devoted to this program. Some have even attended Citizenship Washington Focus, or CWF, in the past during their own time in 4-H.
Being a delegate at CWF meant a lot to me. While I was a delegate, I was able to develop an action plan and take that back to my community, as well as have a deeper understanding for the federal government and the way that bills are written, and was able to decide that that was part of my career path that I wanted to go on once I entered college. I was able to see myself to be able to accomplish things far outside of my state, and especially using the assets that I've been given through 4-H, and to understand how those 4-H skills apply to the real world. For me, being a program assistant, my proudest moment comes when I'm able to watch my 4-Hers and watch those who I've had in workshop and on my bus all week long to finally get to meet with their senator or their congressman and sit down and talk about the 4-H program. For some representatives, it's not something that they're familiar with, but they're absolutely blown away by the uncanny ability that our 4-Hers have to speak eloquently in front of others. And not only are they able to show the assets of the 4-H program and the youth that it develops, but that young people across America are empowered to do things, and they're empowered to be active in their government.
The program presents an opportunity for young people from both rural and urban backgrounds to come together and learn from each other. It's this exposure to new, different ways of thinking that sparks personal growth and new perspective in the 4-H members.
For a program like 4-H, when we talk about bridging the gap between urban youth and rural youth, the programs that focus really on science, the science of agriculture, and also the industry of agriculture in general is really an action-oriented sort of issue that our students really engage around. And so when you talk about food and where it comes from and the entire industry behind that, regardless of demographic location, urban students are engaged and interested in those issues and are working in their communities and 4-H programs to make that happen in partnership with our strong rural programs.
Rural and urban 4-Hers both have great abilities in both of their situations and in both of their 4-H programs. And so for us, our biggest goal is to help the students understand what each group has for each other. And so bringing them together and being able to show them that as together, as 4-Hers as a whole, they're able to accomplish these goals and become great citizens.
In addition to bringing urban and rural students together, Farm Credit also believes bringing underserved youth to experience Citizenship Washington Focus is key to developing advocates for agriculture.
The thing that is most special about our partnership with Farm Credit is that we're really focused on underserved youth. And so what they have helped us do is provide this experience to over 600 youth who come from historically black universities and tribal colleges who would otherwise not have an opportunity to engage around relevant issues today in agriculture.
I am here in DC because the Fort Valley State University 4-H program was blessed by Farm Credit again for the 4th year in a row to receive a grant that is changing lives for the young people that we work with in rural Georgia. It's an opportunity for them to know what goes on in the world outside of the rural areas that they come from. Some of the young people that we work with have never been outside of their counties in rural Georgia. This program is teaching young people to become the future leaders of tomorrow today. When they go home, they're not the same people that they were before they came here. They have made a transformation and a metamorphosis like a caterpillar that goes into the cocoon, and by the time we go home, it's butterflies going home. And I just thank Farm Credit for giving us this opportunity, because prior to this, I never myself would have known that the power of Citizenship Washington Focus.
Farm Credit knows that investing in the next generation of leaders is critical to creating a thriving and vibrant rural America for generations to come. We are proud sponsors of programs that grow advocates for agriculture, and we're thrilled to share the stories of all of the great work that's being done to further the agriculture industry.
Reporting from the National 4-H Center in Washington, D.C., I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about 4-H and the Citizenship Washington Focus program sponsored by Farm Credit, go to the website 4hcenter.org. Next, we'll hear from the cowboy poet Baxter Black himself. Stay with us. There's more of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman coming up.
Your herd, your business, your family. You've always protected what matters most, so you know how important vaccinations are for healthy cattle. And with Vista vaccines from Merck Animal Health, you know you're covered. No other vaccine works like Vista. Only Vista gives you complete dual-action pneumonia protection and complete one-dose fetal protection for the entire pregnancy. Protect what matters most. Talk to your veterinarian or animal health supplier about Vista.
Back on those Texas plains. Join us, Riders in the Sky, for sizzling hot San Antonio.
It's the 2015 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show.
So grab the family and head to Texas for the latest cattle industry information and education, plus some fun and entertainment with us.
It's an event you won't want to miss. Join us in San Antonio, Texas, February 4th through February 7th. There's plenty more information at beefusa.org.
And we'll be back on those Texas plains. See you there, saddle pals.
If you're not using IMI Global's verification programs, you might as well set your money on fire. To give your wieners added value, no program begins without a traceable animal. Then add on BQA and other specialties, and you open up a whole new market for your calves. You might be thinking, the market's so good, why bother? You ever heard of making hay when the sun shines? You got a choice. Get in the game or visit IMIGlobal.com.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand. But at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, long hauls, never-ending chores. The unthinkable. We think about it all, so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
Sometimes when we go to our livestock meetings and see all the technology, we forget about the cowboy and the horse. I'll remind you practitioners of modern agriculture, there are still places where a cowboy and a horse are an essential part of the management, where it's more expedient to treat the critter where you find it rather than try and drive it or haul it to a squeeze chute or a trap 2 miles away. If you have the luxury of a 2-man crew, you can head and heel them right there. But for the lone rider, his skills got to be at a higher level. The critter's got to be caught, restrained, treated, and then released. Now in real life, catching an animal means roping the head, the horns, the heels, one hock, or any combination. Now restraining usually means putting the beast on the ground. No matter what appendage you have roped, you can drag him till he slowly keels over. Patience is required, not a lot of hoorah. And when he falls, you keep your rope tight while you take a couple dallies and a half hitch, commonly called a hooey, around the saddle horn. This'll hold as long as the rope stays tight to the critter. You get off and you follow your rope down and wrap a loop of the loose rein around the rope to keep the horse's head pointed at the calf. Put your weight on the down critter and put your slip knot of your piggin string on the down front foot. Push both hind legs together forward and arrange them on top of the looped front leg, and you might include a fourth leg besides. Take 3 wraps around them, pull them together tight, and I mean real tight. And then 1 or maybe 2 wraps in a hooey, and he's ready to be treated. Now you can loosen or let go your catch rope. Now this description of our skilled cowboy making the perfect catch and tie down holds true. Unless, of course, your horse lets the slack out of the line when he shouldn't, or gets tangled in the coils, which he also shouldn't, or the dally slips, or you loop the piggin string over your own wrist, or the critter gets loose and runs under your horse's belly, who then deserts you 3 miles from the pickup and loses your rope somewhere along the way. But don't worry, that never happens. This is Baxter Black and the Cowboys from out there.
Thanks, Baxter. We always enjoy our visits with you. A reminder that coming up on November 11th, we'll have a special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman live from Washington, D.C. That will be just 1 week after the midterm elections, and we'll talk about the results and provide key insights on the policies that will affect the business climate for cattlemen and cattlewomen. Join us each and every week, but for sure on Tuesday, November 11th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time when we are live from Washington, D.C. There's more Cattleman to Cattleman still ahead, so stay with us.
There's something wrong. His head is down. He's clearly stressed. He's worried sick about BRD. That's why there's prescription Zactran for BRD treatment and control in high-risk cattle. Get a rapid response plus 10-day treatment and control in a single dose, so you can stop worrying and get back to business. For use in cattle only, do not treat cattle within 35 days of slaughter. Because a discard time in milk has not been established, do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, or in calves to be processed for veal. The effects of Zactran on bovine reproductive performance, pregnancy, and lactation have not been determined. Don't worry yourself sick. Talk to your veterinarian about a real alternative for BRD treatment and control. Because it's critical, it's Zactran. From Marielle, a leading animal health company.
To stay up to date on beef industry news and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, check out beefusa.org. You'll find news on both the Federation of State Beef Councils and the work of NCBA on Capitol Hill. Plus, link to NCBA programs like the blog, Beltway Beef, updates on the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, and the latest from NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Connect today at beefusa.org.
The Beef Quality Assurance, or BQA program, is one of the valuable tools we have to assure consumers of a great eating experience with beef. Nebraska cattlewoman Dawn Caldwell says BQA is a must-do for those committed to growing the beef industry.
My family has been certified in the Beef Quality Assurance Program for years, and even the kids, because they have to do that in 4-H in Nebraska to be able to show. So they get their certification there. My husband and I get our certification every 2 years to keep current. And so, you know, I value it in a number of ways. One, as a Beef Council member and as a producer in general, I want every person to have a great eating experience every time they are served beef or every time they prepare beef for themselves. And part of that is making sure that the quality is there, that we handle the animals properly. So it's a big program, and it's a really special program that, you know, I think that every producer should be certified. I think many more probably follow the practices than are actually certified. But we're reaching the point where the consumer wants to know and to have that certification and say, hey, you know what, your animal was handled this way, and those healthy practices that we can certify or verify, that gives you a better eating experience at home or at the restaurant.
Right now, there's an opportunity to become BQA certified at no cost, thanks to sponsorship from Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Incorporated. Don't wait. The free BQA certification offer is only good until October 31st. Sign up at the website bqa.org/team. We always enjoy seeing the outstanding images you share with us from farms and ranches across America. Now, let's return to the Rock Hills Ranch in South Dakota for this week's Legacy Photos. Why not send us a favorite picture of your farm or ranch? It's easy to do. Just visit our website, cattleman2cattleman.org. Well, that's our time for this edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Kevin Oxter, and we'll see you next week right here on RFD TV.